In terms of the Bengals and the Chiefs, I mean, all four of their meetings have been decided by exactly 3 points. The Chiefs finally coming out on the winning end of one of those. Bengals on the losing end. And for this game, I mean, Chris Jones was the game wrecker the Bengals feared that he would be.
Yeah, and it reminded you a little bit last year, the Super Bowl with Aaron Donald. I mean, the way the Rams moved around Aaron Donald to find the matchups to be able to get pressure throughout the course of the game, the Super Bowl last year, it's what plagued Cincinnati in this one. And Chris Jones, who right then was playing your defensive end over Adeniji on the outside. And they isolated him in a way in which it was just Chris Jones on Adeniji, and the rest of the defensive front was on the left side of the offensive line. And they were forcing Cincinnati to have to make some schematic changes with how they wanted to go about allocating their 5 offensive linemen in protection. So credit to Chris Jones, Steve Spagnuolo, Andy Reid. I thought the Chiefs as a whole just did a better job of game planning for the Cincinnati Bengals with some of those weaknesses on the offensive line. We talked about it before the game. I said it for 2 weeks in a row. That was the group that needed to play well. They played fantastic versus Buffalo in Buffalo. Not the same game and performance we saw in Kansas City. I thought that offensive line really struggled, but credit Steve Spagnuolo, Chris Jones, the rest of the group on defense. They exploited those weaknesses.
Less talking, more preparing, perhaps. Yeah. So how do the Bengals as a team and an organization, I mean, they're not going anywhere. I mean, this is a franchise that are still capable of winning a Super Bowl, but how do they make sure that they are staying in Super Bowl contention?
You know, the Bengals are going to have one of the more difficult off seasons for a number of reasons, but they're also a family-owned organization that doesn't have the same amount of cash as some of the other ownership groups out there, which allows you to pay more out in signing bonuses and the way you go about structuring your salary cap and paying any of these 3 stars. Because here's the deal. T. Higgins has 1 year left on his deal. He needs to be paid and put on an extension. Joe Burrow, I would try to get under contract as soon as possible because it's going to come at a cheaper rate if that's the point. And then Jamar Chase, a year from now, is another guy you're going to want to extend and put on, some sort of longer-term deal. So those are the 3 stars. But then you still have to be able to supplement in other guys who are becoming unrestricted free agents. Von Bell, Jesse Bates, Eli Apple, Trey Flowers, all those guys in the secondary become unrestricted free agents. Hayden Hurst, the tight end, a former first-round pick, he becomes an unrestricted free agent. And they still need help on the offensive line, a group that they have drafted towards and invested some money in free agency. But that group could still be better. So this is a tough spot, I think, for the Cincinnati Bengals this offseason. There's a lot of housekeeping to do. A lot of contracts to sort out and figure out as they look to continue to build their roster, which is, again, it typically is an organization that builds through the draft and supplements in free agency. But now you got to start working on some of these deals around the stadium and everything else there in Cincy to be able to line those pockets of Joe Burrow. That's where the cash is going. Don't make any mistake about it.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.